This is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling with Platinum versus AEW Dark. This was the October 20th, 2020 episode. I'm going to do my best to talk close to the microphone and talk loud enough. I understand that there's going to be a little back noise and it's going to be a little echoey because of where I'm recording it. Is what it is, but we'll get through it together. And what will we get through? A motherfucking show that is 2 hours and 8 minutes long. 16 matches, episode 57. Jumpin' Jesus on a pogo stick. There were a couple of standout performances, including Georgia notables really making their way and doing a great job. We open with, and this is a strange thing about AEW Dark, is they bookend it with good matches, and then all the rest are squashes. Now, while this is a foregone conclusion match, no one in their right mind thought Christopher Daniels is going to beat Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard. It's still what I would call more of a competitive match. On the competitive matches, on both competitive and enhancement matches, I use the same grading scale, which is 3 checks. For enhancement matches, it goes 1 check for the proper person being put over in a memorable way, a 2nd check for that person who's being put over to look great in the process, and a 3rd check if the person getting beat, the enhancement talent or jobber, does a great job in defeat or is made to look good by their opponent. For competitive matches, which that's debatable in AEW Dark, 3 checks go to the 3rd check you're only going to get if an angle of some kind is advanced in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, it's a check for a definitive winner happening, a 2nd check for if both people look great in victory and defeat, and then a 3rd check for if something is advanced. I don't see the point in having a quote-unquote competitive match on Dark unless it's advancing an angle for Dynamite, frankly, or pay-per-view for that matter. Shawn Spears against Christopher Daniels. Of course, the match is very good. Christopher Daniels wears a lot of hats for AEW, and he wears them all equally well. This match is no exception. The story is fighting for Shawn Spears to get his finisher or not get it. He eventually does hit it, comes back to hit him with the loaded glove. I don't like that we see the piece of metal that he shoves into the glove. It has the effect of being unimpressive as opposed to Shakespearing the thing. Shakespearing, for younger wrestling people or wrestling fans that don't know, is where you pretend to load up with something and don't really do it. You don't really need to do it if you're stashing something in something. So we call it Shakespearing it. That's an old lingo. I don't know if it's even used anymore. In any case, Shawn Spears loads up his glove, but he is stopped by Scorpio Sky. So 3 check marks there. It's a good match. Shawn Spears is put over significantly, and an advance is a thing between Shawn Spears and Scorpio Sky, which they're building towards. Great. Match number 2, Kylan King against Brandy Rhodes. Kylan King is a standout here. She does a great job of putting Brandy Rhodes over. And Brandy Rhodes, it's no secret, is not the best in the ring, but looks very competent here. That left-footed pump kick is not my favorite, but Kylan King sells it appropriately and gets pinned, and Brandy Rhodes congratulates her in defeat. I'm hoping this means that Kylan King is signed up as a semi-permanent member of the roster. She certainly deserves it and does a great job with every woman she's ever been in the ring with, even ones that have hit or miss matches like Abaddon. Where the fuck is Abaddon, by the way? 3 check marks. David Ali, most improved Georgia wrestler against Ricky Starks. This match is one of the smoothest of the enhancement matches. Very smooth job by David Ali. Ricky Starks looks great. The offense that David Ali looks great. And his entrance is, the video and the music and all that, might be the best of all the enhancement talents. It doesn't feel super generic, which most of them do. And that's not a knock. I mean, it's awesome that they get a video of any kind and a song of any kind. But David Ali's seems to fit and mesh with him well, and he really makes a lot of his entrance And I think they showed David Ali entering the ring and showing off a little before the match starts for a reason. He really does look like a burgeoning star. So good job. 3 check marks here. Number 4 match. Fuego del Sol, who's been all over like being the elite and Sammy Guevara's vlog and stuff against Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky excels in these things, and big bonus, has apparently given up that TKO finisher, which I fucking hate for Scorpio Sky. And instead goes into the sharpshooter, the fastest that I've ever seen, and then reaches back to make it look even more devastating. Gets the tap out win. 3 check marks. Fuego del Sol does a very admirable job in these kind of matches. Really good. He's growing on me for sure. Aaron Solo, who I did not like on his debut, but have grown to like, takes on Luchasaurus, and Luchasaurus predictably gives him way too much. Getting bumped on multiple occasions and even near falls. Someone's got to get a hold of Luchasaurus, man. He doesn't fucking get it. And then he wins with choke slam followed by a standing moonsault, which he hits in every single tag match or 6-man and whatever I've seen him in, and has never gotten a pin with that standing moonsault. It is at best a transition, and here he beats him with it. So it looks really awkward. So I'm going to give this the first check. Well, I'm going to say that they hit the first check mark because Luchasaurus won, but not the second check mark because Luchasaurus gave too much, and he didn't really look good in the victory, and won with a move that honestly most people would just feel kind of flat about. A standing moonsault. I mean, how many variations of a standing moonsault is Jack Evans going to hit against his match against Frankie Kazarian later and not get a pin with? And Luchas is fucking weird. I would only give it the 1 check mark because I would say Aaron Solo, even though he got to quote unquote look good, it just, the match looks stupid. Him getting that much offense against Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus has to learn to accept being a certain kind of talent on the AEW roster so he can help them out. Giving up a 50-50 match to Aaron Solo will make it that when he wrestles the likes of Wardlow or Lance Archer, that it's going to look ridiculous. Even if they don't get it, and they need to get it. It's important. 6th match. The team of Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison against Butcher and Blade. This is the smoothest I've seen Butcher and Blade look, which is a real testament. I think Pillman Jr. did better here. I've seen him look really spotty at times. Griff Garrison, though, continues to be great and improve. And I was glad to see, because Pillman Jr. usually is the one who gets beaten. But I was actually glad to see Griff Garrison take the pin here because he took that powerbomb neckbreaker finisher, which is new for Butcher and Blade. They did that finish that I hated, which is a suplex onto the knees. Is somebody listening to me? Because it seems like a lot of my suggestions come through, and that makes me really happy. Because that suplex onto the knees finisher that Butcher and Blade were doing was not only dangerous, it looked ineffective, which is the worst conceivable kind of wrestling move. But this powerbomb with the neckbreaker thing looks fine, and Griff Garrison was the right guy to take it first, and he made it fucking look great. Kudos to Griff Garrison. 7th match. Penta El Zero against QT Marshall. I'll call this a competitive match, even though it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Penta's going to win this thing. The big notable thing is Eddie Kingston coming out with Allie. I was just asking the other day, where the fuck is Allie? But I guess she's now with her husband, who would be Blade in Butcher and Blade in Kingston's group. I don't think the Allie reveal, as going back to being Bunny, really was as effective as it could have been. It's probably something that should have been on Dynamite, but it's Eddie Kingston, so he can pull anything off, and this is no exception. And Penta wins with a package pile driver. 3 check marks, because obviously it advances stuff. It gets QT Marshall in the mix with Eddie Kingston's group, which I think is a good thing, and it's a good direction for them to take instead of perpetually fighting the Dark Order. Gave Penta the win that he needed going into this tournament happening on Dynamite, etc., etc. And frankly gets Allie back where she belongs. Though they had done such a good job of subtly bringing her in with QT, to not see a clear break happen seems really weird, but it is what it is. 8th match, Jungle Boy against KTB, who's from the woods, and he impressed me a great deal, and the person I watched with really liked him as well. Jungle Boy, was the smaller man. KTB did a bunch of cool shit. Jungle Boy eventually wins this match. 3 check marks. No fuss, no muss, no worries. 9th match, Ivelisse and Diamante, who have to lug around those terrible looking medals because they won the women's tag thing. Those medals really look like shit. Take on Kenzie Page and Skylar Moore, who have Skylar Moore, who's had on and off outings, but this was definitely a good showing for her. And it's the best I've seen Kenzie Page look as far as in-ring stuff. And I like the Ivelisse Diamante, the roll through followed by the kick to the head. There's something kind of simple and effective about it. It's different than what other women in the division are doing. Looked good. They got the win. Justice, all that good stuff. 3 check marks. Match number 10. Bishop King, but no vowels in the Bishop. What? Against Colt Cabana. Really good match. I was going like, oh, they're not going to do anything with the Dark Order, but then Colt Cabana was looking for them, but they weren't there, and then they show up. They have suggestions throughout his match, which seems to throw Colt off a little bit, so we're continuing this stuff in a effective way without being over the top. And Colt Cabana wins with the thing where he sort of jumps and covers them, hooking his toes on their legs to pin them, which I always like when he does it in matches, but it's never got a pin before, but now it gets a pin. So, okay. Works for me. 3 check marks. Match number 11. Adam Priest versus Alan Angels. Alan Angels looked really great here. Confidence was high. He was going over. He looked authoritative in his win. The wing snapper finisher. My only suggestion for Alan Angels here is if you're going to do the wing snapper as a finisher, and it's great. There's just 2 feet on the middle of the shoulder blades, pull back on the arms, bam, slam them, right? Maybe to separate your offense from every other smaller guy who's wrestling in AEW, maybe focus your attacks on that area of the back. I think by narrowing and creating boundaries for yourself, you will explore everything within those boundaries. When you're giving a limitless thing to do, you'll tend to do typically what everybody does. See what I'm saying? So if you focus all of these attacks on the shoulder, upper back, that kind of thing, so that wing snapper would be conceivably more effective, it would also make your offense more varied and interesting. Cool. Frankie Kazarian promo, where he talks about, I'm that guy who's never reaches the top level. Well, fuck you, I'm going to reach it. Awesome. So, Frankie Kazarian against Jack Evans, really good. Jack Evans, I know a lot of people are saying, I wish they would push him. I think he's really contented in this role. He's been around forever. He can still go and do his thing, but Frankie Kazarian definitely has a spark here in this match. It's great. His finisher of the Scorpion Death Drop, it's a better version than Sting's. It's actually my favorite version of a reverse DDT that anybody has. It looks brutal. The way he hooks the arm looks really great. Big fan of Frankie Kazarian, as people know. 3 check marks. Moving on. Match number 13, Jumping Jesus on a Pogo Stick. Louis Vale, Baron, who goes by Embra instead of Emperor, Embra. It's fucking terrible. God, it's fucking awful. Baron Black. Fucking, that's terrible. And D3 against Dark Order 3, 4, and 5. A match that happens, 3, 4, and 10, work really well together. Dark Order sort of excels at these tag matches or 6-mans, and their finisher of 2 of them flipping while Silver runs underneath and hits their legs and it flips them over into the move. It's perfectly fine. They showed it on replay more than once because it is a visually cool looking move and it works for what this is. 3 check marks. Wardlow against Vinny Pacifico, making his debut. The squash that Wardlow should always be having. Hit that falling knee in no time at all, knocked the motherfucker out, then picked him up, gave him an F10. Fucking brutal. It's what Wardlow should be doing. 3 check marks, high praise. Good job, Vinny Pacifico. Frankly, He did turn his head and not take that knee flush. Don't blame him. That's the only thing I would ding him on, though. Yeah, you got to get crushed by their fucking finisher. It's the way it is. Just make sure you don't get hurt. And so that's why I'm not busting his balls too much. I understand not wanting to get hurt. And knees are generally pretty dangerous things in general. Match number 15, Matt Sydal against Shawn Dean. But before that, a promo with Eddie Kingston and his crew, Butcher and Blade, and the Lucha Brothers, and now Ali. Putting that whole thing over. What can you say? Eddie Kingston can make anything work, and this will work. And yeah, and Ali still looks smoking hot, so good for that. Matt Sydal against Shawn Dean. Easily the performance of the night by an enhancement talent. Shawn Dean really kept pace with Matt Sydal. It was great to see Shawn Dean actually escape from wrestling moves when Matt Sydal had him all tied up. He escaped, and that was cool, and fell prey to the Cobra Clutch crossface submission, as I'm calling it, by Matt Sydal. I'm sure they have a name for it, but I don't remember it, so that tells me it wasn't good enough for me to remember. So it's a Cobra Clutch pull where you pull the guy back, sort of crossface style. And Shawn Dean taps out, but really looks good in defeat, and he's in the semi-main here, and deservedly so. So good for Shawn Dean. Keep on going, buddy. Doing great. And then our de facto main event, Sonny Kiss against Rey Fenix. Really good exhibition for both of them. This is actually the best I've seen wrestling-wise out of Sonny Kiss. Yes, he had a great match against Cody Rhodes, but that was Cody carrying a lot of the load. But this one was really them going back and forth. Rey Fenix, always willing to give up, take a lot of offense, especially if he's going to win, and no difference here. And then that spinning muscle buster thing into a pin is ludicrous. And Rey Fenix wins with this 3 check marks, because this was about advancing Rey and making him a credible threat in a one-on-one match against his fellow Lucha Brothers as part of this tournament. And they promote this tournament that's happening tonight on Dynamite. So a good outing. Boy, 16 matches, you're asking a lot, but because it's YouTube, maybe people are picking it apart and just watching individual matches. I was disappointed that this AEW Dark did not have a lot of promo segments, because the stuff that they did with Eddie Kingston was good, and Frankie Kazarian. My God, the show's fucking 16 matches. You can do some more promos with some more guys. And they continue to use Ricky Starks in commentary to some discernible effect. I won't say great effect, but I get what they're doing and why they're doing it. In any case, this has been Stephen Platinum with Platinum versus AEW Dark.